Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. And I'm back. And as you can see, brief situation. The feet is basically okay. Okay, not so nice to see in a modeling channel a feet. But let's get a closer look to what I just took in the last November Hobby Model Expo 2025. That is the biggest modeling expo, let me say. Don't say an exhibition because there is no longer the modeling contest inside since a couple of years, so we cannot talk about modeling there. But it's very interesting because it's anyway, with the lack of shops in the big cities, also Italy has became the place where basically you cannot find any quality shops around the cities. I had probably one of the last one. It is not me saying that, it was according to my clients of the time that are still nearly all, honestly, if not all, just friends around in contests and people that I meet around. And this is a closer look to what I get, very briefly. I could not resist to take this one. This is the original Tamiya t-shirt. You see, this is not a copy, this is not a fake, this is the real original one. And despite the size that is named like XXXXXXL, probably something like a Japanese size of XXX, because I'm just a little round body, not typical Italian, eating carbos, and not so XXXL, because usually for the European size I am more large, more than an XL size, but this was probably little different, international sizes, so I took this. And the quality is incredible because it looks really similar to the Lycra we had in the sailing. For a couple of years I made some competition in sailings, and we had this Lycra from the major teams like Luna Rossa, like Emirates in New Zealand, and this is, as you can see, this is a completely polyester, so it's a Lycra. You see also the tissue is a type of Lycra, and it's very nicely done, and it's featuring the classical, for us modelers, this is a kind of immortal, cool stuff, the stars of Tamiya in the front and in the back, and it looks extremely quality. It looks very nice, Japanese quality, so I think it's absolutely something that I cannot miss. Of course, being a Lycra in polyester is something that you have to wear something in cotton under, because otherwise it's very easy to get dirt, very easy, but I cannot resist, and this I paid 20 euros in the contest. I know that in Japan I have a friend that is following the Honda, Acura, NSX teams running around the world until I think a couple of years ago. He went very often to the Japanese store in Tokyo, and they are making the proper changing around $15 to have something, to have an idea. So for me it's still okay to pay for 20 bucks in hand, here in Italy. The same, the dealer of this stuff is not an ordinary shop. It was the biggest Italian and probably actually the biggest European Tamiya dealer, the Fantasyland company from Milano, and the daughter of the historical owner and founder of the company, which still remembers me like a client, is inside fashion, so you have the contacts and the ideas, like ladies, just ladies can usually do, to buy some very cool stuff from Tamiya. And they had this, and I probably regret now that I didn't buy the working suit, from Tamiya with something over, because I seen one that was in blue color that I really like, but it was dedicated mostly to the radio controlled items, and I just wanted for the static modeling, Then I had a green one, which I regret because it was neither so expensive. It was something like 15 euros, so not so expensive. I surely will regret, but I am sure that those are items that will be quite easy to find also in the future, because they just arrived. And I saved another Tamiya t-shirt made by the same company in the 90s, I think, when I was one of the modeler, it was, and this owner, still remember the t-shirt that I still save. Of course, it's not a t-shirt that you use for the daily use, it's something that you collect for modeling events, or something that really is special, regardless to the modeling reality, And that was incredibly cool, and I was also quite lucky, because it seems that it is not so easy to find them around any longer for this type of prices. I could collect that you know, I'm a Porsche guy, so in my website and my videos, you basically see, if you Google for Porsches in my videos, just arrive me. And so I could not miss that one, which I didn't take it in the beginning because it was not so interesting version for me. You know, it was the K2 of the 935, despite the model from Nunu. It's a wonderful model, you know. And I never took that model because despite the ultra famous Vaillant green car, green and white versions, you know, of the Bob Wollek car. This was the car that raced in Le Mans, I think 78 Le Mans. And I just took it now because I really found for a bargain price. I paid 25 euros for that in hands, so without any expedition and so on, so I could not resist. And the same situation was for the Audi A4. The same nice mold. This is a very interesting model, which I was just looking around, but you know, with expedition and so on, always when I am in Sweden, for example, in my other Werkstatt, I have to search them online, and very often the Nuno Platz model is something that you can never get for less than 50 bucks. So I don't really wanted to pay that money for this type of car, so because it's not completely into my cup, you know, it's something coming from the 90s era of the Turing's Championship, and basically I would like to build up this car, changing the livery, which I don't know if somebody already made this type of decal. I don't think so. We had a couple of very strong pilots in the Italian categories of the 90s. I remember the 96 Super Turismo category was the Italian Tourist Championship. You know, Super Turismo was very cute because they had the writing over the windshield. The livery was extremely similar, and the two legendary pilots were Dindo Capello and Emanuele Pirro. So of course this model I will make in that type of version, and later on the channel, of course, I will make for each of these boxes that you are looking here, including diecast, a proper review of what's inside of the box, you know. And remaining on the box, and these were provided from the same dealer from Tamiya, that was this company, and they had the same stand, so you can buy the same stuff from them and have a really bargain price. I've basically paid all this stuff like a fraction of the value that you usually can find online, because these companies are mostly distributors for, they were distributors for shops. They were one of my main distributor at the time. I quitted my shop in 2014 before I moved definitely to Sweden, and they were one of the best suppliers that I had at the time. Then I could not resist in another little shop, in another little kiosk, you know, this little kiosk that they have on the Expo. They had this opportunity, and right now, because I live very near to the area of the birthplace of the legendary Ronnie Peterson, I could not miss to start to plan to build it up my own private collection of the legendary cars, of which is together with Gilles Villeneuve, that is from the 80s, but of the 70s, absolutely banked Ronald Peterson from Urebro, Sverige. It's one of my favorite ever. So of course I already collected that too, as you can see, Lotto 79 plus the super detailed set from Esegawa, and the Ebro Lotto 72E. Basically it's another Tamiya kit, you know. Ebro is basically the mold from Tamiya, and make proper videos about them. Don't look at this stupid sofa, you know, this is a kid room, my room of course. That toy down there looks so lovely. That was taken after a giant loan I took from a bank. So that stuff, I remember that I nearly protested in the bank, because I had to take a loan for work for about 500,000 kroner or something like that, half million kroner. That is basically $50,000. And the bank, you know, had this big promo. I remember at the time, the bank, if you take that, you will have for your kids and so on. And then I get, you know, I get serious and they say, I want the dummy. Then I placed the dummy there to be like a kind of warning: never take any longer such type of stupid stuff. And they end in a car, you know. It was a loan at the time for a foolish stuff. They end in a 993, you know, at the time of my Porsche 993. Wish I had the car today, because probably that was worth it much more than what it was at the time. That is Bubu and Dudu traveling, you know, always there. That is my memories of highly commended in Telford, you know. That is very big stuff, you know. And this is a little close-up about this. This was the room where I've been stuck, and I left 3 months ago now, just arrived and organized on this toy showroom. on a little flat that I have in Milano, and just happy to be here in a proper condition. You know, when you have an handicap in your physique, then when you get over the handicap, you are just happy to be okay. Honestly, the health is really, really the most important ever. The most important news of the items that I took in Novegro Model Expo is basically this Iveco S-Way. Is the brand new Italeri Iveco truck. You know, it's a plastic truck, so it's not really my stash, but it's a brand new model. It's from Italeri. The price was a bargain, 50 euros for this. I paid in hand, so you know there is no expedition and anything, and it was just provided from the day before from Italeri just for this type of expo, and they constantly do good prices there. I also placed in my social media the picture of the Fulvia KF, Lancia Fulvia KF. That is the next one that probably I will take much more in my cup of tea because it's a 1/24 scale. This is a modern truck, and I'm not so much into modern truck. You know, I just buy because the mold is quite nice. Despite, as you probably already know, nearly all the chassis inside is coming from the old Stralis kit that they had, and that they just updated the cab with full detail, but blah blah blah, it's okay. Also for the guys interested in trucks on my channel, I will make a proper review of that model. I suspect I will not build it up in a very short time, so this is probably the simply like it is. I will take a look at what's inside and simply place it over my stash, and there we stay probably forever. The last very interesting stuff that I had the opportunity to get there was about this decal. I found, I don't know if it was Zhuang Wei, the guy from PSI. It was a Chinese modeler that I like it so much. We call each other my friend on the social media pages, and he made a very nice version of the Porsche RSR from Fujimi, and he placed a little notice where he said that the decal sheets were coming from the Italeri box. So he gave me this great idea because, yeah, indeed, inside the Italeri boxes you can find, I don't know if they place still the marking of, yeah, that's it, printed by Cartograph. So this is a Cartograph decal sheet with all the royalties of the tire and the Martini and whatsoever, and it's the decal sheet that is included inside the not ugly, I don't dare to say ugly because it was coming from Asia at the time, the Asia mold of the Porsche RSR 74, the Martini with the high wing on the back, and the model is not so special. Of course, the Fujimi model is much more nicer, but of course the Cartograph decal sheet is absolutely nicer from Italeri. And I had the opportunity to buy this stuff for 5 euros. You see that, 5 euros. Brand new, taken. It's coming from a guy working for Italeri that he have the possibility to access to some extra spares that he probably buy and sell by his own at a very cheaper price. The same situation is coming from this one. This is the baby Porsche Martini. I had the box from the Valvoline, I think, of the baby Porsche. So the baby was, I think, a Nitto mold of the 935 baby. And of course I have a Martini thematic in my showcase. So of course I wanted to do the car like the ordinary Martini version, but proper Martini decal I never found. If not, considering the old Ashi sheet, up to you. What if it was a sheet or a sheet of a sheet? Up to you. And the same stuff for 5 euros, you know. And in the same occasion, you know, because the only modern truck that probably I will keep on further to build it up is of course something that is related to my reality in Sweden, and it is the Volvo with the giant and wonderful Viking Svenska flagga, the Swedish flag, in that typical blue that was a kind of smart blue, is a special paint from Volvo with the Swedish crossover. You know, I found this stuff made from, I think it was Max Models, also he made this type of set, but I was not so convinced because in all the models that I found, the yellow part, this is a yellow going over a blue base, is never covering completely, so the yellow faded out. And of course also if I make it by myself with the company that print the decal for me in Germany, they also have this type of livery in the catalog, but constantly, as you probably already know, when you have a darker surface and the yellow and white over, the white have to be properly printed, you know, and this is also, as you can see, printed by Cartograph. So we have a wonderful decal sheet. This is for 10 euros. Impossible to let it be there. the same situation here. It would be cool if it was a Norwegian flag. This is a kind of red, can be Danish probably. Danish flag. Danish are not so close to Denmark, you know, they are the smallest country near to us, and I'm completely on the side of Sweden. And that's it. Finally, last but not least, you know that I have this freak. I should sell models, and instead I'm going to buy that. I don't care, honestly, because you know what? When you go in such stuff, once again, when you feel okay in the body, when you don't have any longer health issues and you feel okay, then man, then you go and you buy whatever you can. And that's it. This is the Citroen C4 WRC. Now I live on a leg of a WRC, so I hope to see them for real. Probably this is already over, because this was the car used by Sebastian Loeb from 2012, and it is actually the same identical model provided by Heller with the Red Bull livery, without the license probably, but this was the beginning of a diecast series at the time about the car racing the World Rally Championship in 1/24 scale. The model was absolutely extremely cute. I paid €10 for this stuff, brand new, even from Italy, so they were not used. As you can see, it's completely brand new stuff. The only problem that this box has, as I will say in a proper kit review of the diecast, is that at the time they didn't have any showcase inside. So if you open this blister, you will basically have a model that will take all the type of dust you have in an ambient. So I badly suggest just to keep the car beautiful like she is, completely inside this box like it is. Simply enjoy and look at that. The wheels, for example, were already, the wheels can be used in several others rally racers of the period, and they include also the rain tire. They are not so bad at all. So just, I always check about tires and wheels, because for me it's critical in the models. Without the wheels you cannot do so much. So just for the wheels I think €10 is absolutely a must, you know. They had this one, they had the Hyundai i20, and I think the Skoda available. I just took this mostly for the name, because I really think that Sebastian Loeb has been one of the greatest ever pilot ever existed on planet Earth. Last, the real last one. You see this little shit here? This is a brand new Autobianchi A112 Abarth version from 1982. And you say, why this guy always around Porsche took this car? There is honestly just one heart reason for this. This was my really first ever car. And to be honest to you, this car I bought when I was freshly 18 with all my family, against the fact that I was so much inside the motors and cars. I bought with my own little money, working like a donkey for one season when I was a minor, so nearly legal. I can say that money was coming from illegal job in Italy. I badly wanted it. My one, this is in a nice red. Mine was, of course, of third, fourth, fifth hand. I badly wanted the car, and this car was a blast, and I bought it at the time. As I said, I was freshly 18, so when I became adult, in Italy the adult season is when you are over 18. The first stuff that I did the morning after I became 18 was to take the driving license. So that's, you know, we are car freaks. You know, if you are here looking this video, you are a car freak like me, you are interested in models, you are a car freak. Simple like that. And I took this model because, of course, I also have the Fujimi kit, that is a very old one, and it's from a previous version of this one. This was the last evolution of the little Autobianchi with a different, you know, bumper and front side. This was exactly the configuration of the car I had, just in a different color. So can be that in the future I will plan to take this model and paint it in blue and make exactly my little car. You know, when I can, I try to make models of my car. The only one that I still didn't do, because it's a little bit tricky work, is to make the E36 convertible and the V70 that I have in Sweden. But about the Toyota I get the model, about the Golf I get the model, about the Mercedes I get the model. So I made everything that it was under my hands, you know, on the steering wheels, you know, the 993, yes, but with the regret that I told you before, because it was coming from him. 50,000 euros of financial from the bank, which I honestly regret. And that's it. This is the buying from my Novegro Hobby Model Expo. I was happy to be a little limping there, but anyway, back on track. You know, I feel really like a broken car when they fix with silver tape and so on, but it's okay. After 3 months I can say that I'm still on my legs and I'm still rocking here. That's it, guys. Hope you like the videos, and Write something in the comment. Thank you and see you in the next.